You're watching TVC Breakfast. It's time for the paper review now, and I have with me in the studio journalists to help us make sense of some of the headlines we see across the papers today. I have Ife Onyegbule here with me. Honorable Ife Onyegbule, good morning. Good morning.
You guys are always ambushing.
No, but the point is, whoever is honorable. That's how the thing is. And Dario Dufo is here as well. You agree with me, isn't it?
Yeah, honorability. Happening from
honorability.
Honorability.
You're welcome. Good to see you both. But let's begin from, I'll begin with the business day. Business Day is focusing on AstraZeneca. He said Nigeria suffers setback as India prioritizes vaccinating citizens. Recall that the COVAX that we had came in from India. All right, let's, from that's Business Day. From there, let's go to News Direct. News Direct says Buhari requests loan restructuring vaccines for African countries, meets Total Group investors. Okay, that's on the sidelines of the president's visit in Paris. Let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says Buhari seeks debt relief for Nigeria and others. Debt profile now 33 trillion naira. And it's still counting. Focus on revenue drive instead. Experts are saying this because there's a new request for about $2 billion, a request that has been sent to the Senate for consideration. That's Daily Trust. Daily Times is next. Senate halts a 5G deployment, criminalizes ransom payment. Senate halts a 5G deployment, criminalizes ransom payment. That's Daily Times. From there, let's go to the Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint says Kaduna workers strike, federal government intervenes, labor backs down, El-Rufai talks tough. Okay, we will break the strike, deal with the criminals, governor threatens. That's Governor El-Rufai is saying that. And Abuja summons Kaduna State government, NLC to a meeting. Health workers put members on red alert. Okay, but the Kaduna State government is saying we will not be part of that from the report we got. All right, from the Blueprint, let's go to Leadership. Leadership newspaper says INEC raises alarm over plot to scuttle 2023 polls. INEC raises alarm over plot to scuttle 2023 polls. Says orchestrated attacks on its offices may undermine capacity to conduct elections. And another 2 INEC offices set ablaze in Ebonyi. Commission's outbursts valid political parties are warning. We'll certainly talk about this when we open discussion shortly. National economy is next. 1.23 trillion naira hangs in limbo as MDAs fail to remit into TSA. 1.23 trillion naira hangs in limbo as MDAs fail to remit into TSA. Okay, that's national economy. The Punch newspaper is next. The Punch says El-Rufai attacks governors over strike. NGF mauls 380 naira to a litre fuel price. Certain political interests bankrolled NLC to destabilize Kaduna, alleges the governor of Kaduna State. We are dealing with a tyrant. Industrial action may be escalated, says Waba, as the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress. NLC suspends strike as federal government summons El-Rufai. Labour thugs attack secretariat. All right, still on the labour issues in Kaduna. All right, from there, let's go to the Nation newspaper. The Nation says governors okay debt reduction, judicial legislature autonomy. NGF silent on Asaba declaration, removal of petrol subsidy in order. Okay, we'll certainly talk about this when it's time to discuss governors okay debt reduction, judicial legislature autonomy. From there, let's go to Daily Sun. Daily Sun says insecurity, that's the focus. Breakup, not solution. Khan and Sultan is saying this. It's Christian Association of Nigeria as well as Sultan of Sokoto are saying this. Call for dialogue and unity. Okay, it's talking about insecurity there. From there, let's go to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian says, why foreign direct investment in property sector dries out. Okay, why foreign direct investment in property sector dries out. Okay, we have all the reasons there. From the Guardian, let's go to the Tribune. Nigeria Tribune says, 2 more offices burnt. 2023 poll in danger. INEC boss says, voter registration by elections threatened, he says. Okay, we said we'll be talking about this as we open discussion. The Vanguard newspaper is next, and it says 2023 election crisis looms with attacks on INEC offices. Yakubu, INEC chair, is saying this. Replacing burned facilities in the prevailing economic circumstances will be a tall order, Yakubu laments. And the 3 INEC offices burned in 3 Ebonyi local government areas. We suspect APC, as the PDP is saying this, and APC keeps mum. INEC's alarm, a grand conspiracy. CSOs are saying this. And stop burning police stations, killing your brothers. AIG Zone 9 tells Southeast stakeholders. Okay, it's turning political here somehow. From there, let's go to This Day newspaper, which is the last one we're looking at now. Governors okay full deregulation of petrol, 385 naira pump price. Okay, 3 refineries privatized after rehabilitation. Recommend purchase of buses to cushion effects of price increase. Okay, this is all right. That's on This Day newspaper. Gentlemen of the press, let's look at INEC related issues first before we go into other issues of deregulation and the story on the front page of the Nation. But let's start with the story on the front page of Vanguard, Tribune, and Leadership that raises a question regarding the 2023 polls that will come up in 2023. INEC is raising alarm now. I'm going to start with you, Dari. I wonder what you make of this, because there seem to be consistent attacks on INEC offices. One of the attacks in Anambra State, a lot of election materials were destroyed in that, and you know Anambra will be having governorship election later this year. What do you make of all of these?
Well, the attacks are worrisome. Whatever it is we feel, we are still in a nation. This is our country. We are yet to sit down and discuss Nigeria. And I don't think destroying the essence of the country will augur well for further discussion. We need to be cautious. There is no gainsaying and the fact that these attacks are premeditated. If you look at the region where it is prevalent, the Southeast, as it is now, you cannot divorce it from the attacks on police stations. You cannot divorce it from the attacks on other government-owned parastatals and facilities. It is part of that anti-Nigerian moves or movement, as it were, by those we now call secessionists. You know, we have this funny way of quickly getting names for people rather than calling criminals criminals. We find one name or the other to manage their activities. Secessionists who believe Nigeria should not remain one in the Southeast, in various names, are behind the attacks. And what they should know is that, yes, they may succeed in making election difficult for INEC to conduct, but they will have also succeeded in ensuring that their own people do not have a say, do not have a voice in how Nigeria is governed while we are still in Nigeria. It is funny that somebody who still purchases arms and ammunition with the Naira, somebody who still submits to the use of the Nigerian passport to come in and go out of this country, will attack facilities owned by the government, will attempt to make governance difficult. We cannot go our separate ways only by violence. We have seen nations of this world who sat down to discuss their existence without war, without fighting, and today there are various countries cohabitating and relating well. We should begin to give. If we are going to remain one country, let us do so in peace. If we are going to go our separate ways, let us. And if you look at INEC coming up with this warning, people are saying it's a conspiracy. PDP is speaking like the opposition party they actually are, that it is APC and INEC that is behind this. We should look beyond that and be truthful. We shouldn't play politics with everything. We know those who are behind these attacks. We know their intentions. We can all come together with one voice and say, look, that is not the way to go. Allow INEC to still perform its functions while we still remain Nigeria. Otherwise, you will disenfranchise some people, and it will not be fair.
Just like the Sultan of Sokoto and the Christian Association of Nigeria are saying, we remain one. Disintegration is not the solution at all. Now, I wonder what you make of this, looking at it from the fact that, particularly in Anambra State, where there will be election later this year, governorship election there, and then in Ebonyi State, where there are constant attacks on INEC offices, election materials are being burned, sensitive materials that are kept, are being destroyed. It is going to require a lot of budget to bring all of these things back again, and some people could be or may be disenfranchised when you don't have your data in the or your information in the data system or central data system on the day of election. We may not even see your names on the register.
That's the truth, and you might not be able to vote as it is. So I want to agree that it's quite wrong with what it is that's going on right there in the southeast. When you talk about Anambra, you talk about Ebonyi. I'm thinking that every Nigerian who still thinks that Nigeria should be one, we need to work together to see how things get better. But I just heard Darren now say that I don't know who we are, that they know exactly the people who are doing this. But we keep hearing about unknown gunmen. Who are these unknown gunmen? So Darren knows them. He's a person of interest.
Maybe Darren will explain to... No, I think maybe his context is from the fact that the security agencies will certainly know these things.
So let's put it like that.
In that context.
They know exactly. Then if you know the people who are causing the trouble, what's stopping you from picking them up and doing exactly what it is? I would want to see a 2023 where election happens, where it is held. I know what it was like when I stepped out on the streets, to conduct my interviews during the last election. Yes, I heard it early that it had been cancelled, but people didn't hear. They all came out, they wanted to vote. And I stepped out there, I saw them, and they were disappointed, they were angry and all of that. So I'm just praying that we don't see the same thing in 2023. Let it happen as it should. Look at what happened in the American election. Even when the president had to walk the streets, normally the streets would have been lined with people, but no one came out. They said, stay in your house and watch from the TV. So no matter what it is, 2023 should not be shifted, cancelled, postponed, or whatever. Let's do the right thing. But for those who are burning police stations and INEC offices, it doesn't make any sense. You're just, how do I say it? Let's use the local parlance. You do yourself. That's the truth. Because you can't say you are burning those facilities in the south. Are you going to the southwest to vote? Or you're going to the north to vote?
Or maybe they're not ready to vote at all. So they don't want any other person to vote.
I'm not going to vote. Back. Because I always say that the card that you have, that your voter's card, is the power that you have to speak. It's not about violence. That's the truth. Darry just said it. Some countries have sat down together to say, hey, I don't think we want to be together. Let's just go our separate ways. We peck cheeks and, go our separate ways. Then we can now relate. But it's not always about trouble. And I would say this here, just give me that opportunity. Nigerians should be careful with the kind of inflammatory statements that they make. You see government officials, you see people who are of means and authority, leaders, and they're on air, they are on their social media handles saying all those things. Whether you like it or not, there are followers. People are following you. Some have called followers.
There's a lot of impact.
You've got to be careful the things you say now, because whether we like it or not, Nigeria is dancing or sitting on a very thin thread, and it might snap any moment. No one wants to see that.
Well, we hope it doesn't get there, and that is why everyone is calling for action by government and also action by...
I can't trek to Togo.
Oh.
Maybe that is ready to stroll.
No, that is not ready to go anywhere. He's
that is why I keep saying
he's a Nigerian like the rest of us.
We know these people. For as long as we continue to pretend, then we are deceiving ourselves. We know those who are behind these things. You and I, by virtue of our profession, have given them names: secessionists, freedom fighters. We should not wait until this same thing starts in the southwest. It's not peculiar to the southeast. It's just starting there. It's just trending there now. If nothing is done, and some fellows in the southwest feel that, oh, they are doing it in southeast and they are getting away with it, you just see some funny characters too. They start doing the same thing. And before you know it, will spread to some parts of the north and the middle belt. We must always take actions when necessary. It's important. Politics. Not everything should be politics.
All right. Not everything should be politics, especially when it has to do with security of the people
and the protection
of life and the welfare of Nigerians. Let's look at the story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Governors okay debt reduction, judicial legislature autonomy. And the Nigeria Governors Forum silent on the Asaba declaration and the removal of petrol subsidy in order. That's a quotation there. Now, the autonomy, recall that the president had signed the Executive Order 10, which is supposed to give autonomy to the judiciary and the other arms of, in fact, the three arms of government are supposed to be independent or become autonomous. But you recall how all of that, the drama that ensued eventually and all of that. But right now it seems governors are looking in that direction now. Are we seeing light at the end of the tunnel we use as a cliche?
It's not as if they weren't looking in that direction to coach them, not to speak for them. Rather, they were saying that presidential
executive order
was unnecessary. That since it has been signed into law, what they are doing is taking their time to implement it. That these are not things they will be implement in a hurry, according to them. But now the presidency is saying, look, you have to be fast about it. Well, they met, and they said, okay, we will be swift in bringing this about. So it's okay. It's a direction. It's a step in the right direction.
The right direction.
We are all happy about it because an autonomous judiciary is a strong judiciary. And we need a very, very strong judiciary in this country. And talk about the legislature. They should not be rubber stamp. And if they are not independent, if they cannot control their own affairs, if they rely on the executive for funds at all times, the executive will continue to influence their decision. Having said that, those are not this will interest me ordinarily because we've been on it for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I saw the reports of their meeting, these things didn't interest me anymore. I got interested in something else. And that's the fact that the governors, they sat down and felt that 385 naira
per liter
will not be too much for Nigerians to pay. I want to beg. I am holding a meeting here now. Maybe honorable
a virtual meeting with you have the honorable here, so
and you are here. Maybe we should
as a witness.
You are a witness. In this visual meeting, we are appealing to the governors that since they represent us, maybe they should hold town hall meetings with us Nigerians, we the people. You know, that's the beginning of our conversation.
Of course,
we the people are now begging them that 385 naira will be too much in the prevailing economic situation, which my brother from Edo will call economic cream concrete. This is serious cream concrete. They should know that Nigerians will find it difficult to pay. And anything that happens to fuel price will affect every other thing
else.
385 will be too much pain to bear. We've not had increments in salary. We've not had increments in pension. The income of Nigerians have not improved. Infrastructure is not improving. Trade is at its worst. Businessmen are lamenting. We want to plead. This is not about being stubborn. No. Now beg with the beg. Because immediately I saw this, I did quick calculation. If I had to buy fuel at 385, I may have to start begging my employers.
That's sad.
As in prostrating. It will be too much. Because Nigerians will find it difficult.
And even from that window, the employers too, because
where will they get the money from?
Companies run on diesel.
If you find people paying and paying regularly, please give kudos to them. I always say it in my office. I regard my employers as the best among equals. Because whatever it is, you are being paid, and it is still regular now. You must know that they are doing magic. They must be doing some magic somewhere.
All right.
It is not going to be easy. Nigerians are pleading. We are begging. Not only the governors, so our lawmakers, the independent market. We understand that doing business is difficult for them too. But we are saying, just consider us. I beg. We they beg. Because this will be a serious issue. And allowing Nigerians to be frustrated to the point of triggered reaction at a time like this will not augur well for all of us. Look at what is happening in Kaduna between Labour and the government. We should avoid it all. Otherwise, maybe government will declare all of us wanted, like what about?
Well, Ify, I wonder how this comes to you, though, when the governors met and they are okaying the idea of deregulating the oil sector, and then on the other hand, looking forward to the possibility of privatizing some of the refineries, as well as fuel price getting to about 380.
I think it's ludicrous, very ridiculous. It is stifling. It's unheard of. I don't know how you want the average Nigerian. Some governors are still struggling to pay the minimum wage. Now, how do you expect the people, that's the ordinary Nigerian, I'm not talking about the government officials who don't even know the way to the gas station, for crying out loud. At 156 or 158, people are not able to buy it even. Then you're talking about 380,000. Well, Daria said it also. I won't go sounding like a broken record. They need to take a look at it, because at this level now, it's looking like you are intentionally trying to impoverish Nigerians. The president said to us he was going to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. He has about 2 more years to go back to his home state to spend time with his children and grandchildren. Now, are you taking more Nigerians down the poverty line, or you're looking for a way to take them out of poverty? That's a question that he should be answering. Then the governors need to understand that this is not possible. So you don't push the people too hard to the wall. Remember what happens when you push someone so hard to the wall. They bounce back, and they might not like what will happen.
All right, we have to leave it here now. I certainly hope that those who are concerned will be listening to the pleas of Nigerians. Thank you very much, Ify Onyegbule, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
And thank you, Dario Dufowoka, for coming as well.
My pleasure.
And by the way, the book launch, How Did We Get Here, will be happening soon. And
yes, it will.
How did we get here?
That's a big question. That's the conversation we would have on that day.
I really look forward to this, and we certainly will have time to talk about this next week, Thursday. The book, How Did We Get Here? And it's for broadcasters.
And conversations.
Yeah. But not for broadcasters alone necessarily, because that conversation, how did we get here, when it comes to how to engage, how to speak, how to, all of those put together will be...
get the news out there.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Let's...